Welcome everyone, this is Car Question. I'm your host, David Jackson. Our topic this episode is as interesting as it is scandalous. It's impeachment, a process for holding public officials accountable for misconduct. Impeachment empowers the legislative branch to investigate both the judicial and the executive branches. So, to open up this topic just a little bit more, we're actually going to take to the streets to see what people have to say. So I'm thinking, when do you think it's necessary to impeach a person?
I didn't think that Clinton deserved to have been impeached, even though he was not actually impeached.
Okay.
I think what goes on in the privacy of our president's bedroom is his business or her business whenever we have a female president. I think that with our current president, he is a danger to America. I think that his correspondence with Russia, I think his correspondence with Eastern Europe and making threats to people and then throwing our current vice president under the bus so that he can make himself look good, I think that's an impeachable offense.
I guess no one really wants to throw like the captain overboard, so to speak. So it's like a big action that happens. So it's a wake-up call, I think. Definitely when people talk about impeaching and actually going through with it. So.
And when you say a wake-up call, how do you think we should move forward after an impeachment? Especially when we think about picking our next leaders. What do you think we should be keeping in mind if we've already impeached someone before?
I think it's kind of like dating in a way. You know, once you date people that aren't good for you, the red flags, right? So it's the same way. I feel like.
So keep a lookout for those.
Keep a lookout for those. Things.
If a president is completely violating the oath of office, then he needs to be impeached. If he's showing that he isn't upholding the Constitution, that's what he's sworn to do.
Right. Okay, so we definitely got a lot of interesting questions and commentary on impeachment, and it's always exciting to hear all the different views and perspectives. So let's dive in and really get into the background of this topic. Impeachment proceedings began in the late 1300s in England. Parliament, which is the equivalent of the American Congress, used impeachments to hold the king's officers accountable. Now fast forward 400 years, and the founders of the American government added impeachment language to the Constitution. The president, vice president, and all civil officers can be removed for treason, bribery, and high crimes and misdemeanors. Let's get a bit more into the details. So civil officers are those federal judges and the most senior officials of the executive branch. For example, the Secretary of Education. And as for high crimes and misdemeanors, well, that's kind of a source of debate. Many agree that it refers to offenses which are detrimental to the trusting relationship between public officials and society. It can also refer to illegal activities or wrongdoings that bring harm and dishonor to a particular office. An impeachment happens when the House of Representatives votes to formally impeach an official. Next, an impeachment trial through the Senate, which is presided over by the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. When the trial ends, a decision will be made as to whether that official will be removed from office or found not guilty. Americans have seen 19 impeachment trials at the federal level. And these trials do have an impact on society. So we're going to examine the social and economic repercussions of impeachment. Now, the Government Accountability Office reported that Kenneth Starr's investigation, which led to the impeachment of President Bill Clinton, had cost $52 million by the end of September 1999. And if you account for inflation, that $52 million is $80 million today. So you can see, impeachment certainly isn't cheap for the American taxpayer. A Pew Research Center survey examined President Nixon's impeachment, and they found very telling data on his trust with the public. Now, Nixon won his 1972 re-election by a landslide and had a 68% approval rating at the start of his term. But when the Watergate scandal came to light and impeachment was imminent, only a fourth of Americans had approved of him. And 57%, well, they wanted him out of office. The public's trust for Nixon took a huge hit. Now, we all want to live in a healthy and a well-run society. And the way a government operates can gauge society's values and interests. So when an elected official dishonors their office, which can result in spending way more money or betraying the public's trust, it becomes important to remember that accountability is about country, not party. Because what we do now certainly affects future generations. It may feel like circumstances involving impeachment are completely out of your hands. but there are ways we can all create meaningful change. First, we have to demand trustworthy public officials. It's important to stay informed about who we're voting into office so that we have the best possible public officials in our leading positions. And finally, support efforts to hold public officials accountable for misconduct. We want to reinforce that irresponsibility in office will never be tolerated. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I'm your host, David Jackson.